Alright, I guess let's go SRL timing, because why not? Let's go in 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby. Gotta pick a name, which I'm not partial to any particular name.
Go to get the D.
She wants the D. Yeah.
All right.
Everybody in chat wants the D.
Yeah. Interesting spelling. Alright, so this is Soul Blazer for the Super Nintendo. Basically Zelda. It's released by Quintet, who did the ActRaiser games, Illusion of Gaia, Terranigma, Robotrek. So it's in a solid lineup. And we got a bunch of text. Let's see, what do you need to know about the story? In a world where everything must go, including talking animals, talking furniture, talking mermaids. We swear it's not a Disney movie. One man sent from above, but not an angel, because I wouldn't get past the censors. This girl, so hard up for attention that she'll fall in love with the first guy that talks to her, assuming that guy doesn't play the harp. Together, they will try to prevent the evil death toll from accruing a high death toll, because that sounds appropriate. Explore exotic locations. Fight interesting monsters. Yeah, interesting. We'll go with that word. Remember to equip magic.
By fight we mean poke.
Fire sword.
Coming this April to a theater near you. 420 Soul Blaze.
XX.
420 Soul Blaze it. 360 no scope, bitches.
Yeah. So there's some other stuff in here about the king of the area made a deal with basically the devil. He kidnapped Dr. Leo, who's an inventor, and forced him to build a portal to hell, and then made a deal with Death Toll that sold the souls of everything in his kingdom for gold. And then, surprise, surprise, deal with the devil doesn't work out, and he also gets trapped. So there are no living creatures left on the earth, and you're sent down as the Soul Blazer to release all the creatures. That's good. Okay. And you do that by, you know, smashing things with your huge sword and firing magic at them. We only end up getting 3 spells throughout the course of the game. 2 of them are required. I can't count. The third one is just because it saves a huge amount of time. It's the light arrow, and we'll get to that later.
So you have a little bit of grinding going on there. What's this immediate objective we have?
This is all just, as you defeat a group of enemies, the layer will turn from red to green, and then you can step on it to release people back in town. And that's kind of the main mechanic behind the game. As that happens, the town gets rebuilt. You can talk to the people and trigger some various things. For the most part, I'm just killing enemies that are required to advance. There will be the occasional things elsewhere. And we will be using death as a shortcut, because why not? So you see in the top right corner we have gems there. That's these golden orbs that I'm picking up. And that's what powers your magic. The fireball spell that I have right now.
Chat says, good guy Duckfist for asking the good questions.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure it out.
My assumption is that not many people know this game, so any questions you have, they probably have also.
That's a good point.
So the gems are basically MP, and anytime I take a death, it'll reset to 0. So there's a lot of gem management that goes on throughout the run. Here I just want to take a bunch of damage to be close to 0 because I have to backtrack. There's a lot of backtracking in the first area because it's more or less tutorial zone. Hold down, take a half step.
You just got slide.
Save the frames.
So did you say what gems actually do? I don't know if I heard
Yeah, they're
that.
like his magic points.
Yeah,
okay.
they're like MP more or less.
Currency for magic.
It's not really necessary to guard such a small bridge. Well, thank you, I guess.
So usually your gem count's pretty tight, right? Like, what percentage would you say of runs do you have where your gem count actually doesn't suck?
Well, it's the kind of game where the better gem drops you get, you can use all of them. Because there are places you can always save time if you get better gem drops and throw more light arrows at things. Light arrow, as you'll see later on, is incredibly useful. And because we're often under leveled and don't have good weaponry, it does a lot more damage than your typical weapons. So skip releasing that one earlier because it let me walk a few extra tiles basically and saved about a second and a half, give or take.
Somebody else is pretty cool.
Okay.
So I see this throughout the whole run. You have this like option or this rotating ball. Is this a spell or what's going
Yeah,
on?
that's the Magician's Soul. I got it in the first area, and that is where most of the spells in the game are generated. There's one that's an exception, but it's right at the very end. So, like I have the Fireball magic equipped. If I hit Y while I have at least 4 gems, it'll shoot a fireball in the direction I'm facing from wherever that happens to be. And timing that with it rotating can get interesting sometimes. I think my chat has decided that's a potato, although I don't know why it's a potato.
The shining potato.
Just roll with it.
So we released Lisa, who is an important character to the story, by which I mean we'll talk to her about twice. But she plays an important role. She's the daughter of Dr. Leo, who was the one that built the Portal to Hell, and a lot of the other characters are directly linked to her.
One more. 69.
Excited for 69.
These enemies move randomly. Generally, if I make a note of an enemy moving randomly, that's because that's the exception rather than the rule. Most of the enemies in the game, if you do the same thing, they'll do the same thing every time. So it's really simple AI manipulation, which is good because you're often not only low level but lacking armor, so you die pretty quickly to things hitting you. Hooray, conveyor belts. Right, please. Thank you.
The moonwalk.
Yep. Another mechanic that's kind of important is crab walking. So with the sword equipped, you hold L or R and you hold the sword out in front of you and you continue to face that direction as you're moving around. I use it a lot, and it also lets you use weapons that you're not high enough level for. You shouldn't have gotten away there, took a step too hard. That blue gem that's on the screen I could talk to and be able to take a trip back to town. That would save my gems and I would get some experience because each one of those gives you some type of a gift. But text is slow in this game, so I'm just going to die instead.
Okay.
And we'll use, during one of the first menus, I went ahead and moved the item over to the 4th slot. That equipped the Dream Rod when I picked it up. And the Dream Rod is a mechanic that lets you enter sleeping characters' dreams, which is only slightly creepy. And then, as you make changes in the dream world, they often make changes in the real world. So, like that switch opened up a new path in the real world. And, you know, some stuff about her and her dad.
Who's your daddy?
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
He summons a portal to hell.
So this is our major interaction with her. We broke into her dream, and then we just immediately ran out and left without listening to her story. And somehow she'll fall in love with us as a result of that. I don't really understand how that happens, but hey, whatever. So again, more backtracking. This is to get Leo's paintbrush to let us go into the next area. This first part of the game has more backtracking than any of the other sections in the remainder of it because it wants to teach you about going back to town regularly and talking to people, discovering new information, all that kind of stuff. Like for example, you can get a set of armor, where you won't be getting armor at all for a while. But there's one that's in town that you can go get to pretty easily. Menus, please. And as is appropriate, we do something and then we die.
Oh, it's not even 10 minutes in, you've already died twice.
Do not rush. The game said so.
Died quite a few times over the course of the run. And more in the Japanese version because of the text speed differences makes it profitable. So this is the first kind of, what you say is an interesting part of the game. You use Leo's paintbrush and then you enter this painting that he's got in his house, which...
Hello.
It just locked.
Oh man, what?
no need to thank me.
Well,
Yep, it just crashed.
Hello.
okay, well we could try the other SD2 SNES.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we can try that.
In the meanwhile, run down to the store and buy a cart.
Yeah.
Let's
Do you
try
not have
another
a
one.
card of this? I have a card of
About,
this.
about a
Oh.
10-minute setback mulligan.
You can still PB.
So we got that other
We can't have things go
flash
well.
part we can try.
Yeah.
I would suggest someone else do it, because me touching things is definitely bad.
This is yours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that area is so interesting that it completely destroys the game, apparently.
Yep. I haven't had. Whoa, wait, what? Super Nintendo? Hello?
Right.
Might be the Super Nintendo. Dude, this power button is jacked. What?
Is that Norm's then?
This is shit. Okay. What? This power button just suddenly stopped working.
Make sure it's plugged in.
No, it like it won't move. There we go.
Oh my god.
Got it.
So somehow,
Don't
the
touch
power...
anything. Alright, probably an RPG. This
The power somehow came loose as a result of nothing happening.
might be under action. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Alright
They
then.
restart
Well,
the timer there, Vic?
Okay. Wait, is it not working on mine either?
Whoa, yo.
Okay, so it only works on one ST2 SNES, and it only crashes 10 minutes through.
This is
Try
why we
mine.
can't have nice things.
You got one too?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Third time's a charm.
What did you play it on downstairs? Let's replicate
I
that
played it on
situation.
Feral Pigman.
This one, then it didn't
They
work up
decided
here.
not to boot
Let's
up
get
when I
that
got
Super
my
Nintendo, I think.
Maybe it is, yeah. Why?
I think there's something wrong with the console then.
I think there's something wrong with the player.
Blame them Everhates.
Good game.
In a world where everything only works for 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah, is this PJ in chat? What the hell?
Was it a demo of Soul Blazer?
We can't afford the real thing.
We get to do backtracking again. Hooray.
Vic.
No, Lab, it's PJ and Everhate.
Exact hardware replication here, or are you gonna...
Uh,
Looks like
work?
Bix might work.
I don't know what to try.
Well, we don't know.
We don't, might being the key word.
We'll find out.
We can blame
This is what
Vic.
you play on downstairs, so I just don't trust this fucking Super Nintendo. This is just crazy.
Interestingly, this only comes up as a problem now.
Okay, well,
Alright, well,
I feel bad because I just
Yeah, alright, I'll get the timer going.
literally pulled it away from Dell in the middle of
Probably
this
got time for
practice.
another attempt, right?
I wouldn't have even bothered restarting the timer, but
Okay.
All right. We'll go 3, 2, 1, go.
My follower.
Let's see if I can beat the 10-minute record here.
C.
C is for cookie. It's good enough for me.
Alright.
Better menus.
It also makes me wonder if my Super Nintendo has a similar problem, because Final Fantasy V used to do that to me. That's why I bought the Reaper card. Because whenever I played on this, like, randomly intervals it would do that.
The guy's deck collector was ready
Yeah,
for
I
me.
mean,
After I
flash
had
cards
actual-
cost like $200. So,
Right.
I had a good practice run, so that means the deck collector was sharpening his
warm
tools.
It's alright.
Yep.
We're I'm gonna give this back to Dell, whom I basically told to stop playing right away.
It's not like he was playing a good game or anything. It's fine.
I didn't realize there were pizza rolls.
Alright. Unfortunately, there are no saves. Because while you can save in this game, we never do.
It's slower, a lot slower, or what?
It takes a decent amount of time, and deaths aren't that costly anyway.
Okay.
You just lose your gems, and your progress is all retained. So, we'll try it again.
Player.
And yeah, this is one of those sections where, depending on how many gem drops you get, or if you get any of the bigger gem drops, you can speed this up. So you kind of have to have strategies ready for different gem values. Early in the game, you get very few gems. The chances to drop a good gem are much smaller than later in the game. Is that the last one? Yeah. Didn't really save any time there because I lost
Do you
track.
have to step on all those platforms, just certain ones?
That one I'll step on later.
Oh, okay.
For the most part, I'm only killing enemies that are required.
I got you.
But I come back through there 3 different times, so may as well just move on and then hit it later. This is obviously just training. Everybody could already run this point of the game. Oh, that was way wide. So here I just juggle these 2 enemy spawns. So I'm using up invulnerability timers on both sets.
Fire.
We have countdown to explosion again. We have the bridge guard. Step 1, success.
Just breaking stuff, dude.
Yep. That's the way it works. No need to thank me. Just doing my job.
All right.
At least it was only like 10 minutes in. That easily could have happened much later.
Did we get a timer reset at least, or no?
I think they did, but it doesn't matter too much.
No, we didn't, but it doesn't. It's cool. It's not like this is a run speed. Do not rush. Be patient.
I'll know if the run is bad anyway, even without a timer. Bridge guard. He's either the best character in the game or the worst character in the game, and I'm not really sure which.
I'm leaning towards best.
And then if you talk to that guy after you turn the wheel, he plays it off as he was turning the wheel the wrong direction. It's not that he wasn't strong enough to turn it.
He wasn't strong enough to turn it the other way, that's why.
Yeah, he loosened it for you or something. The game's just really trying to figure out a way to make me die in this first part. It's surprisingly easy to die in the first area of the game, just because you want to take a bunch of damage everywhere to die faster.
Yo!
Did it fucking crash again, dude? Let me get you a different system.
Yo!
They brought Duckfist he brought it up. And he
Not
put it
even
back
I
down.
am safe, man.
So did this one work before and it crashed the same as this did?
Yeah.
Okay. And you practice on this one, right? Downstairs?
If that's barrels, yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. Sorry, man.
Oh, this, like I said, it's expected.
Good technology.
2 for 2.
People think I'm joking. I'm real good at luck.
Do you want to reset that timer?
Yeah.
Oh. Just give you pace.
Oh, my PB is dumb.
Dog fighting.
I see very small segments of exclamation point blame.
Yes. Yeah,
Like,
there.
I recognize the shape of it without being able to read chat. I'm like, yep, I know what that one is.
Game good. You like.
Well,
Go into empty channels for people who are offline. Just so you can cat bag. Since none of you have seen this before, here it is for the third time.
So you might see just a slight difference in some coloration, and possibly like the pixelation may be a bit different. We were on RGB before, now it's just being upscaled through composite, so it might look a little different, but hopefully it won't crash now. So.
Yep. All we can do is go again.
And then,
Little number 1 and little number 2.
I guess just
Good luck and or leg.
And 3, 2, 1, go.
Number 4.
Well, we're all the record.
Just had
3.
3.
Third time's a charm.
What Chad didn't realize is they're just being trained. Chapter 1 RTA. Everybody can do it.
First live marathon tutorial.
Done in record time.
This way you can look at the slight variations I make and wonder which one of those was the mistake.
This game is pretty good.
Getting this weirdest sensation of deja vu. I don't know why that is. I'm fairly certain I've killed these enemies at least once before.
I'd think that Crack would be up on commentary by now, but he's fucking slacking.
yeah, what the hell goes on with that?
I've seen 3 things. I'm not gonna let you know what it is.
That's 3 more than me.
I'm just in a little shock still.
So this game is pretty easy to learn because the combat it controls fairly well. The magic is, well, there is a skill ceiling that's impossible to hit. It's not too difficult to make a bunch of really cool looking fireball shots and then later light arrow shots. Just the cycle there. So it's really, you just kind of learn, you get familiar with the combat and learn what enemies to kill, what enemies to skip. I mean, fireballs.
I think the hardest part for me, even playing casually, is understanding how the hitbox on the sword works. So you can see he's like standing at certain angles to kill enemies and making them come to where he's at in order to not take damage, and that's more difficult than it looks.
Talking to Butthead.
The nice thing is the sword hitbox is even more gigantic than it appears to be. You're already swinging for several tiles worth of distance, but for example, I'm facing down like this, I get like an extra tile worth of hitbox to the right side. So that's used primarily against bosses, but occasionally against some other enemies also. Because against bosses you do the same damage poking as you do swinging. And when you swing you have to stop moving. See if I can die prematurely on this death orb, because I like to do that. It's really easy to lose count and go down 1 too early and just fall over dead. Bridge Keeper ship number 3.
Slimed.
Just as a little frame saver, whenever I death warp, I'm holding down. That buffers the movement, so you get an extra half tile before the text pops up, and saves a very small number of frames.
Is it possible to get 2 balls instead of 1?
Nope.
Oh.
Sadly.
Crack with the important questions.
Classic.
But you can stuff multiple souls into that ball, so that's something, I guess.
I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I like it.
So there's some stuff later on that you can collect different spirits from the sky, basically, and they'll join into that magician's soul and reveal stuff to you. Like you get an extra circle around it that reveals hidden stuff or shows you light in the darkness or things like that. All of those will be skipped, but it is a neat mechanic. Because the game is really good about if you know the solution to something, it'll let you just do it. You don't have to hit any dumb prerequisites. You know where to move in the dark, then okay, be Zelda 2 and just move without the candle.
It's hard, man.
I just gotta remember which trip I'm on because I've done this multiple times.
Potatoes.
Those torches shoot fire based on where you are when they finish their attack animation, so you move out to the left to make the one on the bottom fire wide. That's actually my favorite skip in the game. Just a really tiny, if you buffer all of your movement, you can get through there without taking a hit. Which doesn't actually make a difference, because you end up taking damage before you die anyway. Or taking enough damage to die, a little bit high. Oh, please. It's going to change this position. Yeah, we'll stick with 2.
So moving around while your sword is like in the poke position, what does that do for affecting movement?
So as long as you're holding L or R and you're in crab walk mode, you continue to face the same direction, but you can move in any direction. And it's useful against enemies where you have to move while you're hitting them. And just generally I end up crab walking way more than I should. Just because you may as well. But it lets you like maintain contact damage on enemies while you're moving to a different location. And Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. Wait, I guess this is Part 2. 2 wasn't exceptionally good, so I think we'll skip over that.
Yeah, we should just go to 3. Dream Warriors is way better.
So, since it's been a while since I got to this point, Lisa is Dr. Leo's daughter, who is kind of an important character in the story. Both of them are. And she has a story to tell that we're not interested in. But you'll see when we get like named animals and such, they're all directly related to Lisa and Dr. Leo. Alright, approaching time to make PB for distance. So let's see if we can get into the painting. The painting is just kind of the first moment that sticks in my mind from this game because it's quite a bit different than what you see in most other games at the time. In terms of timeline, this was 1992, and it was about the same time as A Link to the Past, for people who are familiar with that, having been able to live through the era.
We did it.
Woo! Gotta run.
What? Okay.
I was hoping that would get self-luck.
I was like, fuck, did it self-luck again, dude?
Well, it just decided that it wanted to pause for a moment, for effect.
Just wanted to remind you it was in Leo's painting.
I need to save your game.
So there's no safety saves in this game, but
Okay.
that might have to change.
The background is like getting me motion sick.
Yeah, a whole lot of mode setting. It has its moments. Oh, kill some mini RPG jerk birds. There will be a major jerk bird later on.
Medical herb?
Yeah, medical herb, if you have it equipped when you die or take lethal damage, it restores your health instead. And that's used to make the first boss kill faster.
Is there a limit to how many gems you can carry?
You can get up to 999.
Oh, nice.
You can wait slightly longer and hit all those torches and kill them, but they're not required anyway, so it's just for style points.
Congrats on level up.
Yeah, we use level ups refilling hell several times. Alright.
Oh shit.
What? I didn't hit that button. Okay. I'm gonna have to back out. So it decided to go invulnerable, which is not good. Done right, I just trade damage with it and it dies before I do. But I moved slightly too far up. Oh, come on.
Nice.
I just retreated because I was going to die otherwise. The random button inputs are great. It's like, wait, what? How did that happen? Okay. I only have my hands on the D-pad and somehow X decided it wanted to go.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Why not?
Good.
Now my controller's not going to work, so I can literally blame Everhate every day.
Yep.
It's going to be awesome.
So that released the mayor and it leads to the major plot point. You need to get to the world of evil and defeat Death Toll to save all the people. You're just releasing them along the way. So the way to do that is to collect these different stones, and basically an important figure in each of the areas will have a stone. Here's the mayor. In subsequent worlds, it's some type of character that's directly connected to Dr. Leo and to Lisa. But he doesn't know what a brown stone looks like, but conveniently he has a stone that is brown. So that's close enough.
What about 6 stones? A map? Finally a map?
Kind of simplistic world map, along the lines of like ActRaiser, for example, where you
That's
just
what
go
it
to.
man.
Yeah, it does share a lot of assets with ActRaiser also. Gonna kill a couple of extra enemies here so I can try to pull off a trick. We'll see. So there are bushes spawning right now to the top right. Wait for the second one to spawn. At first it didn't look good. If they stay within vision, and if I get good enough gem drops, then I can kill those from across the river, so that'll save a little bit of time later. If they don't stay in vision, so that will save a varying amount of time depending on how aggressive I decide to be with it. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 seconds. But it's got some random elements to it. It's not terribly unlikely to happen. Most of the time you can recover it. Bush, please. These are kind of the main enemies in this area. I agree. So the bushes move randomly, and they're pretty aggressive about attacking. And anytime while their branches are extended, they're completely invulnerable. So the last item that I used was a medical herb on the boss, if I can path. Here I'll pick up another medical herb. That'll automatically be equipped. That works for items, but it doesn't work for weapons, armor, or magic. It's kind of a weird thing. That'll save me a menu later on when I use this herb. Yeah, so there's an example of one of the souls that you can pick up. There's a mole down there, and he will let you see in the darkness if you talk to him. But he has about 20 seconds worth of dialogue. So as long as I don't run into walls for at least 20 seconds, then it's much slower to go. These things have questionable AI. There are a ton of safe spots for this type of enemy, and they don't move randomly at all. That room can be a death trap, because so many of those bushes and they're all attacking and you can't actually deal damage to any of them all the time. So you just kind of let them all spawn and then throw a bunch of fireballs in there and hope that's good enough.
It's my kind of speed game.
There are statue enemies here, like one of them is slightly discolored, and then two down here. I believe it's these down here. If you kill those and then one extra enemy layer, you get access to the ice armor, which helps a lot later on. Like if you're starting out, it takes about 2 minutes to get the ice armor, so obviously I'm going to be skipping it, but it does make things a whole lot safer. For the sake of safety, I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Ideally I would wait on that and just rely on my level to restore my health, but if I end up taking damage, that's a long walk back. So I'll just use that for the health refill, and that opens the teleporter in case I'm dumping back. So poking enemies does minimum damage no matter what type of sword you have equipped. We're still on the first sword and will be for quite a while, but you do 1 damage or 2 damage with a strength modifier, whereas swing damage gets upgraded every couple of levels. The exception to that is against bosses, where you always do minimum damage, so 1 or 2 with the strength upgrade. And that makes poking them much better than trying to swing them to death. Here we have Wizard Spirit, and that step up spawns a fire guy to the top left. I'll deal with it momentarily. Again, just a small time saver because I'll be able to kill them with fireballs. You have to actually wait for that layer to break or the enemies will respawn. These scorpions are they're not the first metal enemies you encounter, but they're enemies that are composed of metal, so you can't kill them with your current sword. We'll get one later on that does. Don't go right. These, again, are random, and they have long invulnerability periods. So you want those to, well, moving down is the best option, then moving up is the next best, and left and right are both bad, right being the worst, just because of the way that your hitbox and your sword bends, and a wait to avoid taking damage. Because this area is all heated floors.
There's some food action going on. I'm gonna get on this. Okay. I was thinking about going out and getting wings. I think that would be something people want.
Snap.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Oh. Touched onto something.
I believe wings have been mentioned. So here you have these heated floors that cycle hot and then cool. If you have the ice armor, then you don't take any damage. So that's one area where it pays off. This is the only optional magic that we get because it's just amazing. But the heated floors, while they do go on a cycle, I've got a medical herb plus a nearly full health bar, so I just kind of walk over all of them. And you don't need the ice armor to get through it. There's another area later in the game with damaged floors that you also ignore. And you have just enough health to get through it.
Okay.
Oh, come on. See, light arrow is like 4 fireballs, but it does more damage, and they can hit up to twice. So it can get a little bit tricky to get used to with the orbiting of the soul and the timing on that. Medical herb.
Yay.
I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the gem chest just because
Medicinal
I'm super
herb.
low.
Probably.
Because that's a bit of a detour, but as many gems as I have in the next area, I'm gonna dump them all. And I want to make sure I have some left over leaving this world. So the 2 crocodiles we released were just to get to this bird who is sleeping. Conveniently, we have a dream rod. And next to Turbo's grave. If you've played any of the other Quintet games, you'll know that Turbo is kind of a thing. Why am I waiting on that? That's what you do if you're low on health. Turbo is the Quintet mascot. So he makes an appearance in Robotrek and Illusion of Gaia and Terra Enigma. I don't overkill the gems. I don't need nearly this many, but it gives me the opportunity to do some crazy things, hopefully. And this is the time that I would normally open this portal if I hadn't taken it for a health refill earlier. So it saves all the extra trip down there and all that stuff. Yes, I'm trying to walk over you.
I always love that, dude. Just, okay, but
Yeah.
don't hurt me, please.
See if I can walk through Turbo.
Bird.
There's a small window before he becomes fully solid and you can walk through him. And it's completely worthless, but it's fun. So this is Turbo, or the ghost of Turbo. Turbo is dead. Spoilers. Given that it said a bird was released by his grave. And there's the mole that'll let us see in the darkness. And we'll just kind of walk right by, but it's okay because moles are nearsighted. So he'll never know. And that was all to get the Leaves of Greenwood, which are Turbo's symbol, and will make the rafts take us to the next area. Unlike the other quest items in this game, or kind of plot items, you don't actually have to equip them, it just recognizes them being in your inventory. It's kind of the Bagu moment. You have these leaves. You must know Turbo, and I can help you cross.
Alright.
Thank you, Bagu. Always a hero. A little bit weird movement here. Move to the left to pick up those spirits. Spawn that guy early. Move to the right, pick up those. And get a bunch of lag. Lag in this game is generally fairly low. So it lets me deal with 4 enemy spawns at the same time, assuming I have enough gems to be able to do it. You get a little bit of stun time with your sword swing also. So some of these that, if you leave them alone, they'll move much more quickly. As long as you're on top of them and hitting them with the swing animation of your sword, they kind of get stuck in place a little bit, just for long enough to kill them. And more juggling stuff here. Just a moment. So I'm spawning these guys to the left while killing the lizards on the right, and spawning more of them on the top left. Because a lot of time is spent just waiting for enemies to spawn, so fill that time as best we can by making other enemies spawn when it's possible. I only hit that once, twice. Ah.
Can't see shit.
Yep, this is the area where the mole would come in handy, because it would give you like a lit area around the orbiting ball, which is kind of a cool effect. But there are enough landmarks and small lighted areas you can get through without it. And Lizard Genocide. These spirits that are floating around the big orange ball things, we'll come back and kill those later, but you don't get a sword until very near the end of the game that's able to kill those, or deal damage to them at all, and they don't get hit by magic either. Here I'm killing 2 sets at once, but I'm only worried about the lizard men. That opened a teleport. I could use to refill my health, but I'm just going to assume that I don't play bad. I don't need health refill. This is the hardest boss in the game. Oh my god, I missed it. So there's a full path that it describes you can just follow. I'm just going to have to go to safe mode instead, because I've missed my movement. If you're off just slightly, that'll happen. And it can be fairly difficult to recover. 2 hits puts you at critical health, 3 hits kills you. So, a bit sloppy, but didn't die to it. If you die to that boss and you lose all your gems, the next area of the game becomes extremely difficult. So that's why I opted for safety instead of trying to stay on the path. But while that's the most difficult boss in the game, it's just because the movement's a little bit complex. It's not random at all. They'll do the same thing every time as long as your movement is the same. As is the case with most of the bosses. There is one later that is very random, and you'll know him when you see him. Right, so the big tree. a tree of
Bluestone.
non sequiturs too. Turbo buried something near my roots, and here's a green stone and some
Water
other
levels?
stuff. Like, they don't have any connection to each other, but okay. The stuff that was buried near his roots was the ice armor. Under the sea. So yeah, this is an area with mermaids and various type of fish. We need to get the bubble armor because a large part of this area is underwater, and if you walk around underwater, you die without the bubble armor. Well, you take damage, but you would die because you can't actually cover enough distance, and you can't kill the enemies quickly enough. So it is a required item. And enemies here do a huge amount of damage. Die in about 4 hits, give or take, depending on what hits you. It's part of why it's critical to have magic. These rocks also take minimum damage from any hit, and they take a lot of hits to kill. It's too short, yeah. Light arrow fades at the end of the screen. So you've got to be a little bit closer to him when you fire it. Take the safe strat here by letting these spawn. Take it from the bowl because I don't care. Get around the corner, please. And because I've got so many gems, I can just throw magic at them and not really be worried about it. I'm at actual level up here. Be fairly poor considering I'm trying to die. Took some extra damage, but not quite enough. It's alright. It's only about 2 hits more than a near empty bar. So we release the little mermaid, and they'll give us a bubble. The bubble armor will let you walk underneath the sea without taking damage. I'm not going to equip it immediately because I'm making a short trip to an island that I didn't want to death warp off of. So I take the damage along the way. That water music. The music in this game is all really good. Definitely a fan. So that'll put us to where 2 hits from that fish bubble will kill us after this is opened. And it's a bit faster to take this death warp. The downside is you do lose all your gems and those are valuable in the next island. But done well, it ends up being in that savings. A whole lot of that falling down animation to go on. Right, so then she introduces you to kind of the mechanic of this area. You have access to this big ocean floor, but areas are blocked off by these fish statues. So you go find a mermaid statue, release it, and it'll clear out a fish statue and give you access to a new area. That box over there has the mermaid tier in it, which is really useful for the second, or the, I guess technically like the 4th island, but the second major island that we'll go to after this one. It gives you the ability to turn off some magma there, but it's slower to get it than to use it. So we'll just damage boost over things instead. Up to that tile before I move over. Manipulates that seahorse to go left instead of down, so you avoid a hit. Not that it really matters. Here I'm going to be picking up a medical herb, because while it's possible to do this without it, it is very random. And obviously I'm not good at random. So it's a small time loss to avoid the random element of the next island. Counting is hard. This island is fairly simple. You just kill some enemies that you've already encountered. That's off. And then the 2 birds that I killed are to open that. Took a long time to set that up and still missed it. Luckily, with armor now, nothing as much but threats in terms of the damage that it does. But I do want to take some damage because I'm going to die on my way out of here. Instead of 2. Monkey is really good at death work. So again, talk to a mermaid statue, it opens up a new area. This part, I do kill some extra enemies. It opens up a small shortcut that can be done without costing you much time, so it is actually a little bit faster and gives you access to more gem drops. And gems are very important on this island. You need to be able to fire a certain number of light arrows at a particular point, or you just can't realistically finish it with this setup. So these seahorses there will open up a small shortcut when I kill them, and we'll clear those out while I'm doing this other jellyfish pack. Get around the corner. Hoping for some decent gem drops here just to make things comfortable, but you can get by with minimum as long as you kill these additional enemies and collect the gems. Alright, so that's a good start. Because this island has kind of 2 things set against you. You have hot floors that deal a lot of damage to you, and you also have randomly falling rocks. Again, you can get a soul. In this case, it's an angelfish that'll protect you from the damage from the falling rocks, but it's too far out of the way. So we're just going to absorb the damage if they happen to randomly fall on us. Like that just happened.
The cock rocks.
And I pulled those birds over. Wow. Real good luck. Pulled the birds over because you have to kill them later, and it's a little bit faster to kill them from this side than from the other. Dolphin Lou, who is a pet of Lisa, as was Turbo and the rest of the characters who have actual names for the most part. So as with most other areas, it's just a matter of there are certain sweet spots that you want to be on with relation to where enemies spawn, and that'll make you relatively safe. Those birds are the trickiest ones because they move pretty quickly and they stop at regular intervals. Ugh. Okay, well, I got that herb. I would already be dead if I don't have the medical herb because I wouldn't have enough health to live through the damage boost. Metal gorillas there. We'll come back for those later. Can't kill them now. And then the ones that are on the high ground are the ones that I need to kill with light arrows. Because I can't walk up to them with the hot floor there. Conveniently, one rotation of the soul is about the same as enemy invincibility period. So as long as you hit one shot on them, you'll hit the rest of them if you just fire at the same spot. Most of the time. So you can just barely make that without the medical herb. Obviously, it's a whole lot safer to use it. And that skips having to get the mermaid tear, go to the top of this island, and deactivate the magma. And then you can also use it later as a shortcut. Because we'll be coming back to that island again tonight.
Are you having any kind of signal interruption on the TV? At all?
Not that I've noticed. But that assumes I'm paying attention. Alright. Isle of Rain, Blester.
Lester?
Blester.
Lester the Unlikely?
Yep. So there are some metal enemies on this island that need to be killed. So we've got to get a convenient plot device that will let us kill them. And to do that, we've got to talk to Lou, who is an amazingly talkative dolphin. Has so much text. And this will give us the Thunder Ring, which is a really cool and underutilized item. It's only used in this one part of the game, and then it just gets stuck in your inventory forever. It's also really easy to forget to get that, because you make so many of those trips through the same cycle of talk to a statue and then leave. Then you realize, oh yes, this is the one where I have to actually make the detour. So at this point in the game, we could already have the third sword. Instead, still the first one that you pick up at the very beginning of the game. And still another pretty good stretch with that. Waterfall slide, I guess. Something to slip and slide. These crabs you want to move in the direction of the sweet spot on your sword. Like the longer side of it, because then you have a better chance of stun locking them and killing them in one rotation. But they move randomly, so you don't have a whole lot of control over it. And it's not too big an issue one way or the other. Alright, so Isle of Rain, wonder how I got that name. And these things with the pyramid type of shape on them, that's where you use the Thunder Ring. Have to move slow enough here so these don't stop to attack.
Trailing monkeys.
It's actually faster to move slow there, which is weird. And normally I would take a bunch of damage because I'm about to die, but you also don't want to die there early. It's a long walk back. So instead I'll just run over to this bird. And you can use the fish to die, or you can use the bird over here to die. More lightning bolts. area 4, and as it appears, there's only room for 4 of those statues. So this is the last part of this. And it's a scary ghost ship. Not sure why the ghosts are confined to the ship, given they can cloak and, you know, launch nukes and everything. Occasionally sniper EMP, but that's too recent. It's all about the old ghosts. Somebody out there plays StarCraft, so they'll understand that and realize I'm a giant nerd.
Okay.
So we make a detour here to get the power bracelet. This is the single best item in the game. It doubles the damage you do with your sword, as both poking and swinging. So it makes quick work of a lot of enemies, even though we've got a low-end weapon. And makes some strategies later on reasonable to do. Without it, they are incredibly difficult. Let's see. I think what I'll do is open this, but not use it. That's a safety mechanism in case I die to the boss. That's the way to get back, but I shouldn't need the health refill. Probably. So here we take advantage of gigantic hitbox on sword and very small hitbox on bosses for the most part. Ugh. Missed part of the cycle there.
Nice.
Nice.
I moved too far to the left, so that's why I got hit there. The boss only has an active hitbox while the eyes are open, and even then it's only a small part of the sprite. So you just kind of stand anywhere near it with your sword out and you deal damage to it. Just the hands that are the only real issue in the fight once you realize that. So you just have to figure out how you're going to dispatch the hands.
No hand drop.
Yep. So there's a chest right down here that I'm walking by that has 1 gem in it. And if you do all the story stuff in the area, you get this interesting cutscene about a kid who's on the ship as it's sinking, and he puts his last gem in that chest, talking to his dad while the ship is going down, and it's kind of a nice touch. There's a surprising amount of just random story in the game that is fairly well written. And we talk to a queen and get another stone. And tells you about the stones have, this power to do things that aren't actually relevant to the plot, because the plot is about what happened to the king and him selling everything. But hey, it's a nice little bonus. Found the souls. This should be a fairly easy area. Most of the time it is. It's kind of a break from the first part of the previous area is really difficult. And then the next area is the hardest part of the game, at least when you're first learning it. But this one's kind of a break from difficulty. I'll be picking up a sword, even though I won't be able to use it immediately. And that's because it's required by the plot, and also an additional set of armor because it would save time. So I'll actually be close to properly equipped for the part of the game that I'm in. We got dead meese and living meese.
Balls.
These are some of the strongest enemies in the game, those snowballs. They can only be killed by the final weapon. Magic armor, in addition to being a defense upgrade, reduces your gem consumption by half. So light arrow now costs 4 instead of 8. Given the number of light arrows I'm going to be using since my weapon is so far behind, that is incredibly useful. Counting this hard. kind of chill music, as is appropriate given the temperature of the area. These ice floors, as soon as you press the direction, you're locked in that. So you'll need to get an item called the mushroom shoes to be able to walk on the ice in a direction that you actually want to go, which is required for exactly one spot in the game, like many of the other items.
It's back.
Yep, apparently so. Conveniently, as we've encountered an area that requires us to walk on ice, we meet a guy who will help us walk on ice. So you could death warp there instead of taking this gem, but that gem also opens up a bit of a shortcut on the way back. So it ends up being a little bit quicker to use that there. That's one of two of those blue gems that will be used in the run for the purpose of warping. So go ahead and equip the mushroom shoes, even though they're only going to be on for a short period of time. I'll end up using them twice just because it makes one of the other areas much easier, but they're only required for one little stretch. Pause. So it's just this section getting around this corner up to here, and after that you don't need the mushroom shoes anymore. So if there were some way to clip through there, or to work your way around it, then we could skip them, but this game doesn't really have much in the way of glitches. There are a couple of things, but none that are terribly useful. Quintet was actually pretty good at programming their games. While there are glitches in them, there isn't anything too horribly game-breaking for the most part.
Some icicles in the background, that looks pretty cool.
And slimes that are super slow to spawn. We'll encounter Wizrobes, because again, every game wants to be solid.
Zeldo.
And Wizrobes, if you get within about half the screen of them, will become invincible, teleport away, and then reappear like you would expect of a Wizrobe and fire a shot at you. So you want to kill them with magic to avoid triggering that. It's too early. These bats are awful. Bat, please. So the bats orbit you in the opposite direction of the soul, and if they get away, they can be kind of a pain. So the idea on these is to make them commit to moving left, because once they circle around, they'll notice your vertical position, and then they'll swoop to continue circling around you, and then you can move down to be able to kill them with the sword. And theoretically, that's quick. It's not quite as fast as killing with light arrows, but that's much more difficult and requires good gem drops to be able to get away with that. And Wizrobes. Big gem drop. Each progressive area as you go through the game has a higher chance of dropping the bigger gems. to the point that at the end of the game you're no longer capable of getting these single gem drops. The smallest then is 5. And the Lucky Blade, while it's equipped, increases the chance of getting the bigger gem drops. So since I'm going to be shooting a lot of light arrows here and not killing things with my sword, I'll use that for the time being to try to get some better drops. Ah! Got greedy for that gem and took one step too close. This is the other area where I use the shoes. You can slide back and forth and kill these with light arrows, but it is not worth the effort. Release the grandpa. So this is a town of gnomes, and they're interesting in that, in terms of their story, like these grandpas are extremely old by their standards, but the average lifespan of one of them is about a year. They just age very rapidly. So it does some cute things with the story throughout about, you know, whatever kind of bumper sticker you want. Live life to the fullest and all that nonsense. We will be releasing grandmas later, who are pretty much the best characters in the game, for reasons that shall become clear in time. This area is also, it's a little bit of a maze as far as what you release, because as you release these different characters in town, they'll open up different parts of what is just a huge rock area otherwise. So this is, most of this is just straight from the task. They figured out what's the best path to clear enemies, because there are a number of different options that'll get you all the pathways that you need. Grandpa. And if you don't have the Lucky Blade, that grandpa blocks your path for some reason. You have to have it in your inventory. Swap some power bracelet before I forget, because if you forget, then you pretty much die to the boss for free. Get on the...
Platforms are hard.
It actually is sub-pixels. You can get a quarter tile misaligned, you'll look exactly the same, but that's why sometimes those are very difficult to step on, is because you're a quarter tile off. So you just run into a wall and that fixes it most of the time. Gnome is another pet of Lisa and Dr. Leo. I'm just waiting for these to spawn, so I may as well stab things. Or pretend to stab things.
Stroke a sword.
Wow. That was half a tile too far to the right. And this area is fairly open. There are some things I need to hit along the way as far as what enemies I need to kill. But I can also go do the boss at any point in time. And that'll mostly just depend on where my health sits, whether I do it early or late. Yeah, because the boss is straight above me and it's not blocked off, but I need to kill all these enemy sets anyway. It's a little bit better to do as much of this as possible afterwards, because again, you death warp out, so it gives you the opportunity to take more damage. Do this and the one below and then go to the boss. And like many of the bosses, once you understand how this one works, it is cake. I'm going to make a great deal of effort in dodging its attacks. just kind of stand in front of it and hold your sword out. And as long as you dodge some of the fireball attacks, you don't even have to dodge all of them, you'll still come out ahead. And this one in the center, all you do is move down and then back up, and you can dodge it every time. So it makes it rather simple. You always get 2 in the center, and then it'll move either right or left in between those.
Nice.
So, Mountain King. The game expects you to go and talk to him immediately because that's the guy you released from the boss, so he must be important. But he's not actually the important person in this area as far as who has the stone. It is Gnome. We will end up having to go back and talk to the Mountain King later, but that means he'll have 2 sets of dialogue, one of which it expects you to get now. So I'm going to take a bit of a beating here, because I'm going to death warp anyway, as long as I don't die in the process. Ah. Got greedy for the hit. Big bats. Right. And this releases the 2 grandmas, who will become significant later on. When we come back to talk to the Mountain King, notice that those 2 are flanking the king. They'll play a crucial role. The game also didn't expect you to release the Mountain King before those 2, so they show up in the wrong spot. This is kind of a weird thing. A little bit of dialogue, pick up a stone, and then on to Leo's lab. The significant thing about Leo's lab is it's filled with metal enemies, which means you finally get a sword that can deal with them, but you have to be level 16 to swing it. I'm obviously not anywhere near level 16, so I get to poke them to death for minimum damage, which is real fun, given that some of them move faster than you do. And this is another area where the ice armor pay off, because as part of one of the basements there are heated tiles that don't cool down, they just stay hot. Meaning I'm going to take a bunch of extra damage no matter what, since I don't have the ice armor. So I believe I haven't re-equipped my armor yet, which should be fine, because I shouldn't take any damage here, and that'll save me a mini trip. If I do take a hit, then it's not too painful. Let's go back to the teleporter refill. Leo's lab music. It is something else. Alright, so Zentetsu sword, metal cleaver or something, I don't remember exactly. It's like the Sword of Odin in the Final Fantasy series. It gives you the ability to kill metal stuff. hard. So killing those helicopters is about the same timing as the first boss in terms of the stutter stepping. Messed it up a few times, so my health is kind of low, but I've got a level up, a medical herb, and some small health refills from releasing cutscene creatures. So should be okay as long as I don't take any more extra damage. I'll be a little bit careful. These do the most damage in the area. That's a backup. Oh, it's late. If you let one of these get away, they go a long distance before you're able to get back to them. So that's why I have that other one open, because it activates a cutscene and resets that layer. So if I miss it, I step onto that and eat much less time lost than letting it run away. If I miss it twice, then, well, I'm in trouble. When these are over open air and they're flying, they move at the same speed that you do, but they cut down to about half of that on the ground, making the timing a little bit tricky. But if you line up on like the right part of that pipe and just move backwards as they come into range, then they're mostly dead before they get into range of you. Destroy those, please. Here I'm gonna again attempt to juggle 3 enemy spawns. The one on the right, they're not required, but they are very much in the way. I need to try to kill them if I can, just to stop them taking 1,000,000 damage. Strats. Again, if one of those got away, it would have wasted a bunch of time, but I could have stepped into this, activates a cutscene, so the enemies reset. But that set in particular, if it gets away, they waste about 2 minutes running around the world. So that is just that section, this first part of Leo's lab. When you're first learning the game, that is the hardest part of the run. Because you just have to get used to... There are a bunch of places where you just can't take extra damage, and the movement is a little bit tricky to get used to, and all that type of stuff. Once you've got it down, it's not too terribly bad. You just have to be able to adapt to anything unexpected. And now we move on to one of the more interesting parts of the game. We're in Leo's laboratory, which more or less is his house. And he has these models of towns in them. So of course we can go into the model town and fight enemies who are appropriately sized. And can now swing the Lucky Blade, so not on the first weapon in the game anymore. Still can't swing the metal killing sword now that we're more or less done killing enemies that we need that sword to kill. This little guy. Oh well. And sadly you don't spend very much time in these. Like this first one you just run through or around the outer edge and kill the enemies you need to kill, and the second one you kill one set of spawns. There are some invisible enemies in here, and again you can pick up a soul that helps you see them, but they don't move. They're catapults. so you just have to know where they are and kill them. And then the other enemies that are invisible walk back and forth along a predictable path, but none of those are required to open layers. There's kind of flavor enemies. So there's an invisible catapult. And we release steps, which have a soul for reasons, even though you can't talk to them. You can talk to some of the doors, so that kind of makes sense.
Love that name.
Yep. So, more of just bouncing a bunch of enemies at once. And now I can finally swing the next sword. Not going to kill enough enemies with the sword that's worth switching right now, but it will help later. Your chest in there has like 50 gems in it. I'm going to die before I use all the ones that I have, so it's not worth picking it up. If you somehow come out of this area with 0 gems, then you can pick up that chest and let you get to the next area. Model 2. Just run all the way around the edge of the town. In the event that I were doing a run without deaths, the fastest way out is to backtrack all the way around here again. Because while you can kill a set of enemies to open up a shortcut, it takes longer to kill the enemies than the shortcut saves. A lot of extra shots from just bad placement, but there are 6 enemies there, and you just have to know where they are and kill them. Or just throw arrows around randomly and hope that something connects. About to get an optional armor. Say optional in massive air quotes. Do not skip this armor. It makes the rest of the game so unbelievably difficult that you lose time even if you play very well. Because you just can't damage boost through as much stuff. And the entire detour is killing those enemies and walking down here to get it. Sword upgrade. A little bit faster to kill those and you don't have to poke them to death. So now I have level appropriate weapon, level appropriate armor. So I'm actually about proper strength. Not quite, but close enough. And the game will immediately take that away from me in the next area, because again I have enemies that get to poke to death. Until I'm done killing those enemy types, and then I'll be high enough level. It's just kind of how the XP route works out. So I'm going to take the refill here as a safety measure. You can kill this boss without taking a hit, but it's a bit slower. It still will be faster overall than detouring for the health refill, but yeah, safety and all that. So this is Tyndall, which can be a really scary fight casually. Because if you move too far left or right of him, he starts to move around and teleport and do bad things. If you stay just one tile to the left and move up and down, he will only move up and down. That was an extra hit. Yeah, like those things along the sides are teleporters. It'll hit one and teleport to a different one, and then sweep at you and throw projectiles. It can be very tough to kill your first time.
You get 5 stones of the 6 now?
Yep.
Yeah, if I
One
remember
more.
correctly.
Sadly, no more Leo's Lab music.
Still one of my favorite zones.
Yeah. This is a lot of people's favorite track in the game. Either this or the Lisa song.
I guess the wings are here.
No, it's gonna be dangerous.
Yeah, so, go up the attic and talk to Lisa's doll, Marie. and it'll give us the 5th stone. Then one more area to get the 6th stone in order to breach the World of Evil. Take the stone from her pocket. No, please. Magrid Castle is filled with dangerous enemies, but very few of them are random, so it's not too huge a threat. And most places where you could die, it's fairly quick deaths, because it has just a short series of dungeons rather than lengthy ones. A bunch of undead enemies for the most part. And snakes, because snakes. Alright, ghost and teleport. The ghost down the bottom left can sometimes teleport and will almost guaranteed kill you if it does. Just by itself. Alright, I'm gonna use safe spot for these ghosts. And I can't currently damage them until I equip the new sword, but a little bit of an extra bonus by doing that. I didn't time it terribly well, but you can swing a weapon and then swap to a different one and get the properties for the swing, even though I'm not high enough level to use this otherwise. So if you're good at it, you can save a decent amount of time that way. But it's something that I haven't really practiced because it's fairly recent. Trade speed killing those a little bit because it saves a weapon swap. Those ghosts, while they may not appear to be much, can teleport randomly and then reappear randomly. That can be almost immediately, or that can be 25 to 30 seconds later, and they can reappear directly on top of you if they want to. And then disappear again. So they are terrible enemies. 71. That's actually enough gems. I'm going to get this bottle. That's just kind of a conditional thing. If you have a large quantity of gems, you can take it and save some of them when you die. And 71 I think is enough. And then medical herb will be used in the last area. Just so I can walk through more things and not have to wait on cycles. So this basement again has, like I just walked through the wall, that was just a hidden path. If you free a certain soldier and talk to him, he's another soul that lets you see all the invisible paths, and there's some treasure chests as well, like the two that I picked up on the last floor. Weapon. That's what I want. Yeah, wasn't quite worth it, but oh well. Good enough. Should be taking damage here. Because as expected, I'm going to die here again. That's a bit of a difficult one to set up because as long as you're in that spot, you're safe from those ghosts, but once you move out of it, they can do some very strange things. Strange bottle. What that'll do is it's consumed when I die and lets me keep all my gems. So I'll have 60 for the next area. Which is 12 light arrows. So this is, if you were here for the beginning of the first attempt, before I made the thing die twice, made a reference to this guy. He's a bard, and he also has met Lisa, and remembers some stuff about her, including kind of her name, but he's in love with her, I guess. And he wrote this song for her. The girl's name was something like Lisa.
Something like Lisa.
So he doesn't get the time of day from her. But that gets the soldier inspired to move up to the stage, and then you pick up the cards and blow his feet. That song is so good. But I can't stick around to listen to it.
Or something like Lisa's song.
Alright. Now again, we pretend this is Zelda 1. Kind of take our safe spot near the door. And this is another area that you can really juggle a lot of enemy spawns at once, but because these chest knights have such long invincibility periods, it becomes very difficult to juggle them with any success. And as expected, they move in L shapes. That's awful. Done properly, you can kill 2 or 3 sets of enemies and not lose any time killing the primary enemies, and there's a lot of room for just little stuff like that in the game. That's what I thought. Right. And I have people who call these shredders because, well, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's not die to that, please. One swing short, and then decided to walk into the boomerang because I'm a genius. It's not too costly a death. But it is the first unintentional death, so it had to happen somewhere.
It's a pretty good track too.
Yeah. I mean, all the music in this game is quite good. All you gotta do is just walk in and stand there. Not pause. I'm also about to level, which will finally give me access to the Spirit Sword, which I needed to kill those ghosts. And conveniently, I don't have to kill any more ghosts. So that timing is great.
What's the highest level you can get in this game?
50. You don't ever want to do that.
Not for speedrun.
It takes a ridiculous amount of time, like hours and hours of grinding,
Yep.
to not even really gain any stats.
But you can say you did it.
A soldier hath been released. So you'll find out in a moment that soldier I released before this one, who built the tower, is sitting at the top of that tower I just released. So I'm not certain exactly how you can release them out of order and have that one not fall to his death, but hey, why not? And Dr. Leo, who we've been hearing about all game long, and who bears a striking resemblance to Sid in FF4, in addition to being an airship engineer. Total coincidence. There'll also be something in just a moment that may also be similar to something he does. So here's our other blue gem warp. Because there are no good enemies to death warp off of nearby. And come talk to the queen. You have to tell her she's pretty, even if you don't think so. Not that you can
Kinda
really
like
tell
real
with
life.
16-bit sprite, but yeah. And by doing that, she puts the VIP card in your pocket that I forgot to equip. Have extra dialogue. So this is an enemy gauntlet that's intended to be fairly difficult. But with this armor, the torch fireballs only do 1 damage to you, and everything else does substantially more than 1 damage. So I just kind of tank all the fireballs, and I'm not even remotely in threat of dying unless I mess up drastically. This set is a little bit tricky. You've got to react to what these do. And there are several different combinations given their movement pattern. And again, they can't be hit while attacking. Couple more rooms to go through, and then where's the random boss? It is, I mean, it's Storm Eagle. So if you want to place your bets on number of dives,
0. 17.
the average is 2.
So let's go with 6 to be safe.
My PB for most I got in practice a few days ago, and that was 16.
Both things like +1. Yeah. 17.
He's got a 50-50 chance to dive or do his other attack. If he does his other attack twice, he dies. So 16 is
We
quite
can
good.
play a similar game to the Final Fantasy IV damage.
Yeah.
If you'd like to guess how many dives there are, you win Everhate's blame.
Oh god. 2,625.
So, plot twist. Soldier getting backstabbed does 3 times as much damage as soldier getting stabbed in the front. Wait, no, that's not the plot twist. So the queen, who, as you would expect, is the wife of the king, is the one who talked him into selling the souls of all the people to Death Toll and kidnapping Dr. Leo and all that kind of stuff. So now you get in the way, and she's going to stop you because that somehow still benefits her? Question mark? So, huge important character, Dr. Leo. You have to have a gigantic cutscene with all this drama. Then somehow, he whispers to me from the same distance. People are in front, only I'm behind him. I don't know how, and here comes his Sid impersonation. Magical exploding doctor. And, you know, we could go talk to Lisa because we're supposed to care. But, yeah.
This is it.
Can also just go for the jerk bird.
420 dives.
No, it's gotta be 0.
I guess floor 7.
0 is, I mean, it's only 25% to happen. It's not that unusual.
Well, that's why it's a good guess.
1.
I see.
1.
That was a little off.
Oh, almost. I missed a few hits there and didn't. Almost missed the second cycle. Oh yeah. So that boss is pretty random. You can kill him in 2 passes, and he will waste as much time as he wants to waste with dives.
Not a single person said 1?
Yep. So it's a little bit better than average fight because an average is 2.
It's disappointing.
Well, I already had some pretty solid luck in this game, so I had to have one that was not too completely awful. Yeah, a bunch of drama with Lisa. She thinks that we care again, and she's fallen in love with us after our entering her dream and then walking away without saying a word to her.
Gotta be dark and mysterious.
It gives you the option, yes or no, are you a real human? It doesn't matter what you say, you pretty much get the same answer, so I just mash whatever happens. I love, you're gonna fight Death Toll, right? Okay.
Never signed up for this.
So we'll get the final stone here, and that'll open up the world of evil, which is, as you would expect, the final area of the game. And we'll also make a short detour here to pick up the super bracelet. This listed as the invulnerable bracelet. That's pretty much time neutral if you play well. If you play perfectly, it's a little bit slower to get. If you play less than perfectly, then it ends up saving you time. So, might as well get it, because it does make things quite a bit easier. So when this comes back, take a note of the amount of experience that I have. It's going to be about a quarter of the total experience I'm going to need to finish the game. So I'm at 114,000 and some change. I need to get to 420,000 experience to finish the game. Convenient number.
They knew what they were doing.
420 Soul Blaze it.
They were so ahead of their time.
Menu, please. So, you know, given the length of the game to this point, it's got to take about another hour to grind that, I would think. But as it turns out, the XP inflation per area is gigantic. So it went from like 600 experience in the previous area to multiple thousands. You want to stick to the left here for alignment of enemies. Almost forgot about it. These flies are super annoying. Only the one that's, you know, out of the way from everything else. So you want to try to snipe it when you can, because otherwise it flies around you forever. Get into the thing.
So say you didn't have to grind for experience right here. What would like the last couple fights be like if you went in where you're at now?
Everything up to, I mean, everything would end up being the same, but you just need level 24 for the final boss, because it's the only way that you can use Phoenix. You need level 24 to swing the Soul Blade, and that's the way that you cast it. Why did I? Not paying attention. Kill the enemies and then forget to get clear. So if you were able to somehow cast Phoenix lower level, then you would just run right in and fight the final boss. It's not difficult. So that's the use for the Metaclurb that we got back in the early part of Magritte Castle. Otherwise, you kind of have to wait out the cycles, but the combination of the armor and the super bracelet and the Metaclurb means you just charge through all the blocks and don't care about the damage they do. chests are finicky sometimes. Alright, so almost everything is in place, but you still have to get Phoenix. And to get Phoenix, you have to collect 3 pieces and take those pieces to the Mountain King. So I'm about to get the first one, and then I'll have to backtrack for the other 2. It's fastest to do this now, even though it's here at the end of the game, because the Phoenix magic isn't actually useful for anything else, and you can't get it before being able to get this chest anyway.
You're an apple.
I was just saying, it's like, how did Kraken say anything?
I was waiting. There will be another one. So the idea is basically you go back to areas where there were enemies that you couldn't kill, one of which was these metal gorillas. And I'm not going to bother equipping the bubble armor because just death warp out. So may as well take the damage one away. But given that, you know, with this much health, making this walk to the island without stopping to kill anything still takes about half of your health. Means there's no way that you can skip bubble armor. Even if you did something ridiculous like grinded to max level, you wouldn't have enough HP to survive it. So we stand here and take some damage and kill some metal gorillas. Lower health means faster death warp. And release a mermaid. I get paid off again for not using the mermaid tier, because that's the fastest way to die, and otherwise you'd have to walk back out to the ocean and just wait to take slow damage.
Ooh, the stick now.
The Phoenix resides on the stick,
Balls
in
and
whatever
sticks.
context you prefer. Sticky map. Sometimes it just decides to not take inputs. Don't know why. It'll just kind of sit there for a minute. So this is the last part of Greenwood, where the statue boss was. Come back and kill these souls, or spirits, or whatever they are. And that'll give access to the last item. Take those to the Mountain King, get the best cutscene in the game, and then go for the grind and the big finish. So this bird, as you would expect because it's a bird, is a jerk. You're intended to sneak up behind it because birds are afraid or something. You can't get behind it on the left side, so you have to scare it at least once to the right side. And then sometimes the game won't detect you actually sneaking up behind it, and it'll just decide to fly back anyway. So I try to cut a really wide berth, even though you can technically just move onto the tile behind where it lands and get away with it. Sometimes it just decides not to work. So get the red hot mirror, and we're off to the Mountain King. And all this is only necessary because it's the only way to hit the final boss is to use Phoenix.
So how many people played this game, didn't have Phoenix, and were like, what do I do?
Yeah, you don't have Phoenix when they get to that point. I don't think anybody backtracks to kill and, you know, finds everything that they're supposed to find to do it. But
So having not played this, does the game give you a hint? It's like, hey, you need this.
yeah, well, it tells you a few times to go check check back in different areas for enemies that you wouldn't be able to kill, and that's about as precise as it gets. It's not too difficult to find the
Gotta
pieces.
talk to NPCs and shit like that.
Who does that?
So, dancing grandmas! Hooray!
Nice.
Best cutscene in the game.
What the hell's going on?
They're dancing.
You showed him your red hot stick and your red ball.
Oh.
And their dancing gives you the ultimate power. Or something. So, Phoenix, unlike most spells, isn't just activated with a button press. The way that it works is you equip the Soul Blade, the Soul Armor, and the Phoenix Magic, and then whenever you swing the Soul Blade, it'll throw a Phoenix along with it. In order to do that, I have to be level 24 to be able to swing the Soul Blade. So that's where the grinding comes in. So now I'm at about half of my goal experience, up from a quarter, which is not bad. I'm going to use the spot that everybody finds when they're playing this casually, because it's the best spot in the game to grind. Except I'm not going to equip Phoenix yet. First of all, because I can't use it, but second of all, because it generates lag on the first form of the final boss. So I don't want to use it quite yet.
Walls.
Yep. Each one of these is worth 4,000, so it's 12,000 experience. It's quite quick to cycle.
Quite quick then.
Where I can misstep and back out early. But I'll pretend like I just calculated that in advance and knew I was going to be able to there. Kind of foils my plan if I say that out loud, doesn't it? Oh well. I'm really good at hitting down instead of up somehow. I'm not even sure. I'm not sure how down and up happens, but
It's cool. They're really close to each other.
yeah.
When you're trying to go left to right, or you just hit down instead.
That time I just hit more left when I was holding upright on the D-pad. There's kind of a toss-up whether I do it this way or the other.
And you'll get the rest along the way.
Yeah, I'll kill these two and then kill this one.
422. Close enough.
It took a long time to load. I was worried he was going to die again. Like, that would be brilliant.
That would be awful.
So this is Final Boss Form 1. This is obviously going to be a long and difficult... You jerk.
That was tough.
Teleporting far to the left is the worst thing it can do there. And the only way it gets to live for a third cycle is teleporting far enough to the right and then to the left. Alright. So Final Boss, this can be a little bit tricky until you learn that you just kind of face up and crab walk, and then easy boss. A lot of lag. Yeah. You can get some lag reduction going on by waiting to kill those until the lasers are off the screen, but that only saves time if you get really good flame luck for the rest of the fight. Otherwise it's slower. So you just kind of eat all the lag and deal with it. The fight is pretty close to the same length, no matter what kind of luck you get. It's within a few seconds. And the hitbox on both the Phoenix and the boss's head are gigantic, so you can hit it from about half of the screen. So those are low lag because there are no lasers at the same time. And time will be when the head starts to explode. If explode. Oh, another heavy lag cycle because of bad flame luck. But that's one of those things that happens. Time.
144.23. Nice.
Okay. Good shit.
One unintentional death, and it was fairly short. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Good speed run.
Until you count the couple of mulligans because it decided not to work. But other than that, anyway, yeah, I'll get us to the point that starts playing music, but we'll be moving on because this ending is super long. About a 15-minute ending on an hour and 45-minute game, so it's a bit much. But appreciate the folks who watched. We've got something coming up next, but I don't remember what.
That's a 6.
That's 6.